Song was passed, hopping down, cause feeling's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Welcome to another episode of Dad is Down and Now. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for medical fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And today, I have my brother with me. 20 years of brotherhood.
Yes,
He is
indeed.
the co-founder of Jeek Nation, which is like Bird is Sports put together. The one and only Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic with me today. What's going on,
What's
brother?
up? What's up, fam? As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you, my brother. I'm good. As always, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good, so I cannot complain. I'm glad just to chop it up with you, my friend, and do what we do like we doing it for TV.
Facts, and I'm honored to have you on. Being yesterday was my birthday, and so to have that moment to chill with you the day after my birthday means the world to me. But the next question I want to pose to you comes all about mental health, and I know you kind of touched into it a little bit. But how's your heart at this moment?
At this moment, it's all right. Yeah, it's encouraged. We got a great word from the Lord this morning at church. And so a lot of good things to reflect on, to apply to myself so that I can bear good fruit of patience, and that those in my sphere of influence can eat of that fruit, and they can taste and see that the Lord is good. So that is, I'm very encouraged today.
Definitely encouraged. But tell a lot of the listeners about Jeek Nation. Like why they should listen to Jeek Nation.
They will. You should follow Jeek Nation. All those out there. First of all, before I talk about my thing, which pales in comparison to the numbers that my good friend Ish is doing, especially out here on YouTube. I last 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. 30,000. To all 30,000 of you people who subscribe to Dad Is Not a Noun, well done. Because the content that my brother here is producing is excellent. The people that he's having conversations with are excellent. And I've had the blessing of not only having conversations with my friend of 20 plus years here, but I've been able to interact with some of his guests and have them on my show and have equally great conversations with them. So he is out here making great content that's worth listening to, that is beyond just entertainment, but it is uplifting to the heart, mind, and soul. And at times it's entertaining as well. And as things should be. Things should not always have to be serious. They should be able to be fun. And That Is Not a Noun is a great podcast to listen to subscribe to on YouTube. So I got to shout you out for that, because I'm so proud of what you've done, the work you've put into continuing to pump out worthwhile content on That Is Not a Noun. So shout out to you for that. For those who don't know, who haven't seen me on previous That Is Not a Noun content, Jeek Nation is the brainchild between myself, my co-host, Unique DNA. We are former collegiate athletes who happened to grow up in the 80s and 90s, and we were also massive geeks, massive nerds. Back then, being both was not cool. You couldn't be out with your basketball team, with your track team, with your wrestling team, your football team, and be like, "Hey, did you watch Star Trek last night?" That wasn't a thing you could do back then. You couldn't talk about, "Hey, I read the new Star Wars book," with your boys on the hockey team. That wasn't the thing. Thankfully, now it's becoming more and more of a thing, where you have athletes who talk about their love of Harry Potter and various sci-fi and Pokemon, where we've got athletes with Pokemon on their shoes, and Jamal Williams of the Saints, talking about anime and how, calling himself, he does a lot of, Naruto references. A lot of these young players in sports talking about, Dragon Ball Z. You see athletes doing the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z, stuff that you wouldn't have seen in the 80s and 90s. So we started a show called the Original Jeek Podcast, taking the word jock, the word geek, push them together, form the word Jeek, Jeek. And our show is just about having the best conversations combining the sports and geek worlds. That's really what we want to do. So we try to have people who love both sides of that spectrum and have a great time talking about various topics within those spectrums. That's really what it's about.
I think. Okay, bro. Go ahead, bro.
No, and that's really it's about. And if that intrigues you, if that is interesting, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, pretty much any of the podcast apps out there. Shout out to Good Pods. If Google Podcast shutting down, I recommend going to Good Pods if you're an Android user and you obviously can't use Google Podcasts anymore. Good Pods has been a dope unofficial partner. They shouted us out multiple times. They have just been really cool and very interactive. The most interactive as far as the podcast listening platforms out there. You can rate and review on it. It's just been a really cool experience with a Good Pod. So I love to shout them out. I shout them out on my show. I'm going to shout them out here. If you don't have a favorite podcast app, if you're looking for a new one, if you're coming off of Google Podcasts as an Android user, I wholly recommend Good Pods. Yellow icon, Good Pods, nice and easy to find.
Facts. And all those descriptions will be in the description below. So if you want to check it out, check it out. Support Jeek Nation because they're doing something different, unique. When you talk about sports and geekdom combined to one, definitely check it out. And then also talk about geekdom. What I'm going to do, shout out to TeaserPlay. They did this amazing trailer of When Clouds Collide. It's a trailer to this multiverse of Joker. Me and Mr. Max are going to talk about that a little bit later. But what I want to do is I want to play this trailer for the people and let people decide what they think about it.
All right.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Oh, your heart is aching, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by if you surrender to your fear and sorrow. I always ask that of all my prey.
Hard to say.
Why so serious? You gonna be my friend?
I like them already.
All right, shout out to TeaserPlay for that amazing trailer of an idea of a game when you talk about the multi-universe of different variations of Joker. And what we were talking about before, there's a possibility of this. If you could turn it into like a Fable style game where you make your character of Joker into what you wanted to make, I think it has a potential of being a good game. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's an interesting idea. I struggle to find where it would be intriguing enough to play. So like if you're doing create your own Joker, and from that trailer there, we saw a version of Jack Nicholson's Joker, of Cesar Romero's, Heath Ledger's, Joaquin Phoenix.
Let people know the first TV actor of Joker was Cuban. So let's put that out there. I know people talk about, oh my God, DEI, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. The first Joker on TV was Cuban. So I just want to put that in the space. So go ahead, bro.
A very tall Cuban, Cesar Romero. So the Cesar Romero version, you had the Joaquin Phoenix version, the Ledger version. You also had, which wasn't that good, but the Jared Leto version showing there as well. And then whatever, I don't know if that was supposed to be a user-created version or if that was supposed to be the Gotham version of Joker. I'm not sure.
Was the Joker version from the Batman with whatchamacallit dude from what's the guy who's playing Batman now? The dude from the vampire movie.
You're talking about Pattinson.
Yeah, but the other guy, I forgot his name, but he's the one at the end of the movie. He was supposed to be the potential Joker in that Batman film.
Yes, yeah. I forget Barry Keoghan or something like that.
Yes.
Dude from Eternals.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah, I guess because the guy was showing an Arkham jacket. I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be him or the one from the one from Gotham.
But let me just keep it real. That the dude from Gotham, he did a pretty good job playing Joker.
Yeah,
I'm being honest. Like that Joker version for TV, he did a phenomenal job. But that's my opinion.
No, I don't know. I don't know anybody that really complained about him at all. He doesn't get talked about much, but I would just say most people probably consider it mid because it's not talked about much. But I don't hear anybody complain about it either. It doesn't get a ton of praise, but it's not full of accolades and praise either. It's just it's good, but it's not great. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're shown a bunch of different versions here. I don't know. It's the application to me is just it's lacking a bit. I'm trying to understand what the purpose would be. Is it because the Joker is unhinged? He plans things out and such, but the Joker in reality is very unhinged. People go unhinged already all the time in Grand Theft Auto. I don't know what you're going to do in a Joker game, what story you're building around a Joker game. The choose your own adventure Joker game. I don't know what that could do. We were talking pre-show. The Joker is a very unique character in that, unlike most villains, he doesn't have any redeeming qualities. Where we have sympathy and we see redeeming qualities in Mr. Freeze. We understand he was driven because of what was done to his wife. Obviously, that got retconned in Batman the Animated Series and gave Breeze new and refreshing life into Mr. Freeze. We've seen Mr. Freeze do things for the comic good. We've seen Poison Ivy, Harley, Two-Face, Penguin, all have redeeming qualities throughout their. We even had, again, I'll reference Batman the Animated Series because I believe it's the best rendition of Batman as far as the outside of comics. outside that medium. Any other medium, it's the best version. So I tend to reference it a lot. We had the episode where Penguin decided he was going to go straight and try to rejoin, society again, and was doing all right until he realized that unfortunately people were laughing behind his back and making fun of him because he was, short, fat, and ugly. Even though he was just as smart as they were, he was just as versed in the high society life. He would have he fits perfectly in that society in everything except for his appearance. But he tried to go straight. There's never been an instance where Joker's tried to go straight. There's never been an instance where Joker cared enough to go straight. He doesn't care about anything but his own ends, to which are generally a great mystery. So I find it tough to wrap my head fully around a choose your own adventure Joker game. It seems like a cool idea, like if you wanted to have your own custom Joker and take certain traits and characteristics from other Jokers and mold your own. But after that create your own Joker process, I just struggle to see where the game goes from there and the ultimate enjoyment. Because I can go insane on Grand Theft Auto. I can I can play a Star Wars game and make all the Sith choices I want, and kill people in a bit of a cooler way with my lightsaber and force lightning. If I, what I'm saying, like there's ways to go that light versus dark path in other mediums, and they're probably a bit more satisfying. I think if you were, especially with your idea as far as like a Fable type story, if you're going light versus dark, it would actually work best if it was a combination of the other Batman rogues outside of Joker. Because with them, you actually have not a lot of redeeming qualities, but you do have redeeming qualities that could sneak in here and there that, where you can make a decision that may not even be good, quote unquote, but maybe even neutral, that pays off for you in the end, where a bystander or a witness may, do something that gets you off. Where if you make a harsher decision, if you get caught, and then, something like that. But like that would never apply with the Joker. Like Joker is not giving anyone any quarter. He's not letting anyone go. He's not being nice to anyone. He's double crossing everyone, where every other Batman rogue would have that option to do the right thing. And it's conceivable to see them doing it. Where with Joker, he's that one character that doesn't have any redeeming qualities, yet is such a high value character, where most characters that have zero redeeming qualities, especially villains, are not good characters. But the Joker, as we all know, is a great character. He's just unique in that aspect. So where do you go with the game of a character that has zero redeeming qualities, where most people, when they play a game like that, their natural reaction is to try to select good options, unless they're purposely trying to select bad options. But even so, they're always, the natural inclination is to do the right thing. It's not believable if you're trying to have Joker, save a cat out of a tree, or the Joker rescue the bus full of kids. It's just, you can't imagine that. You can imagine Two-Face doing it, flipping his coin and saying, all right, the coin says I saved the kids. You can see Poison Ivy saving the kids so that the bus doesn't fall on 2,000-year-old trees and hurt them. You can see Harley saving kids. Like, you can see Clayface saving kids that are from an acting school. It reminds him of being a kid and going to acting school, and he saves them. Like you can see that happening with so many villains, except Joker. And that's why I have a hard time conceptualizing where the game would go once you've done, which the admittedly very fun sounding create your own Joker mashup portion.
No. I feel you where you're going with you, but one thing I think, when I look at that trailer and the possibility of it, when you talk about the Joker, as a character, we don't know his backstory really. There's different versions of his backstory, so we don't have the authentic backstory of how he became the Joker. And the beauty of the possibility of a game like that is that it challenged our humanity as human beings. Like, again, creating your own Joker put you in the position of uh, what are redeeming qualities of your character when
But
it
that's the
comes to
thing;
your.
he has none.
And that's the beauty of it, is that with that you can kind of influence that character that you want to make, and that's the complexity of it, but that's the beauty
So
of it.
let me say this:
Yeah.
the only way I would see this working in any way would be if, instead of a create your own Joker, you you customize your own Joker, but a very plain, skin, and so it's kind of like Fallout. You
Right.
pick, you pick a basic, person, you give it a name, but as you play through the story, the decisions you make will have you lean towards different Joker qualities from the various Jokers.
Right.
And then and so essentially, as you progress through the game, your Joker is becoming more and more insane. And what you're doing is you're playing through a story. You're creating, you're retconning this, through the story. You're creating the origin story for your particular version of Joker. That I could see working. That would have a little intrigue. So you still wouldn't have any. It still wouldn't make sense to offer any redeeming, qualities, any good options.
Right.
You kind of would have to, because obviously he wasn't born insane,
Right.
but they would have to be very neutral options, neutral to terrible options for you to pick from as you make your choices through the game, and your character dives more and more into insanity. I'm just trying to, just conceptualize how much gameplay can you really get out of that.
And like
How
like
long
what
of a
you
game could
said,
it be?
yeah.
What, and then like once you get insane, like what's the difference between the different levels of insanity?
Right.
Is it that are you going to get particular abilities with this level of insanity? You know, and then obviously you're fighting, against Batman or the Bat family, all the bosses
Right.
that you encounter are going to be Bat family people. So there's potential there. Like if I was making this as a game, it would probably be 4 stages. Stage 1 would be, quote unquote Jack Napier, which is the generally associated name to Joker. It's kind of like the beginning of he's a 2-bit, whichever one you go with, but that he starts to become Joker, like, it's him becoming Joker. And then as you go through and play, through different heists and such, and you start to build a crew in this, and then you end up having to fight, Dick Grayson, Robin. That's like your first boss, and then you fight. You fight and kill Jason Todd. Keeping it kind of within the comics, and then the third fight is Batgirl and Nightwing, and then your 4th stage final boss is you're breaking into Wayne Manor because you found out that Bruce Wayne's Batman, and you dispatch Alfred, and then you get into break into the Batcave, and you have this big final boss fight, with Batman, and concludes the game. That would be how I would envision, a reverse Arkham Knight type game with the Joker as the the main character. Yeah, that's what I would. That's how I would do it, and that's in my mind. That's what would be the most compelling type of game to make that would make it somewhat enjoyable. But again, because it's just the character limits you, unfortunately, and you would really have to work hard to really stretch it out to make a game that's 20, 25 hours worth of playtime for someone to give you their hard-earned $70.
No, I feel you on that. I think it would have to be a short game, and then also on top of that, it depends on the developers who tells the story. I think that's the main factor. How do you tell a compelling story about the character of Joker, who, if you think about, it, really doesn't have a backstory? When you think of Joker, you think of the ideology of Joker. You have different versions of Joker. You have the Jack Nicholson version was like the Al Capone. You
Right.
have Heath Ledger version, which was more of a Scarface version.
Always on cocaine, Scarface. Yes.
right.
Constantly, not just the bump here and there.
Right.
20 lines constantly of cocaine.
Yeah. Right. And so you have to draw a thin line of how do you tell a compelling story to keep people engaged and playing the game. But I like your idea. You keep it short as possible, but again, you let the player decide like what version of Joker you want your Joker to be.
Right. And my thing is that you have, and if you dive, and the more you dive deeper, like, because if you looked at the different Jokers, you would say some are crazier than others. So to me, if you're going to go to the super crazy levels, the Ledger, Nicholson type levels, then that needs to somehow make it harder the deeper into insanity you go with your decisions. Yeah. So is that going to make the the random Gotham police that you have to dispatch, is that going to make them harder to fight? It's there's a lot of things you really have to work out to make the game long enough, compelling enough, interesting enough, and varying enough. Because with a game that's kind of got a choose your own adventure type vibe to it, an adventure type feel, where you're having a varying level of, because of the differences of the different Jokers throughout the DC multiverse, you have to find a way to make it so that there's a replay value, so that you want to go back into it and say, okay, I'm going to make these different decisions and see, what special ability. Like, so if you make enough particular type of decisions, you are more like the Batman who laughs, and then you get, pointy, slashy, claws that you can use that you can't get if you, make other decisions. Or you get the, Joker's, trick gun, but it actually does shoot or whatever from the animated series. Or, the flower that, you get flower with gas with one version, but not the other. You get different bombs from the Ledger version. And I don't think the Joaquin version really had any weapons at all. So, like, I don't even know what you would get from that. It probably is the highest charisma one, so that, it makes recruiting your henchmen easier or something like that. Like, you have to really dive deep into the variants, hopefully creating a replay value so that people want to continue to go through and see how their Joker is going to come out. And then, do you have enough variants and alternate endings depending upon what type of Joker you end up with? Does your Joker build an empire? Does your Joker burn everything to the ground? Does your Joker keep Batman alive to continue the back and forth? Or does your Joker kill Batman? Those are some of the things you'd have to try to decide. Can you really make those variances, put those variances in the game and have it work?
No, I feel you on that. And I think the beauty of that idea of open world game and strategy is that it goes back to the Joker relationship with Harley Quinn. because she's a main factor in the Joker world.
When you talk about, she has become one.
It has become, and then when you talk about the Suicide Squad, like they're in that world, whatever Joker does impacts a lot.
He was just a MacGuffin throughout that entire.
But that's
film.
The movie. That's the movie.
That drove me nuts.
Movie. I'm not talking about like the actual comic book. I'm talking about
you're talking about the movie. Him in the movie was so pointless. Joker would never sacrifice himself the way he was for Harley, ever. And I was like, why? Why is this? Don't even get me started on Suicide Squad.
We'll move on.
I'm sorry. I digress.
From just the comic book theory that there's so much potential that can be.
So you mentioned Harley. One of the things that would, to me, again, from one, like if anyone listens to this and steals this game, I'm demanding my 2%. All right, 2%. And I'll split it with Ish, so we each get 1%. But we demand 2% of all proceeds if you make this game, because they know you stole it from us, and the whole internet will be able to confirm it. You stole it. But Harley, because she's become so important in Joker ever since, again, the greatest Batman in Batman the Animated Series outside comics, Batman the Animated Series is the greatest Batman media. That's where she was introduced. Rest in peace, Arlene Sorkin, the original voice. The decisions that you make as you develop your Joker, will really, I think, would be really impactful as far as, does it make Harley stay loyal to you, or does Harley break off from you? Does she stay a part of your gang? Does she break off? Other minor character lieutenants, people in Joker's gang, same type of thing. Will they stay loyal to you? Will they break off? Will you kill them? Will you not kill them? Will you give them up so that Batman takes them in, but you get away? Those are all things that would be potential options. But again, the Joker is never going to do the thing that helps anybody. So your option would have to be, let Harley get caught by the police, kill Harley yourself, or kill Lieutenant so-and-so yourself, or kill Captain Clown yourself, or Captain Clown with a robot, or let Captain Clown, get melted, or do you make Captain Clown self-destruct in order to try to kill Batman? But it's always going to be, at best, a neutral to a worst insane option. You really can't have a do the right thing option.